In part 1 of Making a Cosplay, I worked on the helmet of the Bucket Girl character. It was an interesting build and a lot of fun. I'd never made a helmet before and I was happy with the result. So check out that video if you want to see how that was made. On this episode, we'll be working on the belt and pocket knife. Now when I like to make belts, I don't usually like to buy any type of material to make it. I usually just use EVA foam. I like to use the 1/4 inch EVA floor mat foam. It works really well for me and it's about the right size. Start off by getting the length of the waist and then adding a little bit more just in case you make some errors. When I make belts, I like to round the edges with a rotary tool. It's also a good idea to sand away some of the textured side as well. This will help the belt look more convincing. And using a sanding belt will help speed up this process dramatically. Alright, that's it for the belts for now, so let's get started on the pouches. I find crafting pouches is a lot of fun, and they're very easy to put together. First, I cut a strip out of the 1/4 inch foam. This will act as the sides and bottom of the pocket. Make sure you know how much space you want your pocket to have, because the width of this strip will determine that. Also, I cut some notches where I want the strip to bend. This step is optional. Next, I use a strip like a template and create a front, back, and cover flap for the pouch. Now I'll just connect the pieces together with contact cement. I'll start off with the back and then the front. You can add some notches underneath the flap too, so it's easier to close. Just be careful not to cut through the foam. This is a great place to keep your cell phone or business cards. Very simple, right? So later, I'm just going to add some Velcro so I can help keep this flap closed. For the belt buckle, I referenced the picture and drew up something that looks similar, and this is what I came up with. And I'm going to use the 1/2 inch EVA foam for this belt buckle. To make it look like separate pieces, I'm going to offset one of the pieces a little lower. When they're glued, it will look like they click together somehow. I then sanded down the edges with my rotary tool and pressed the top of the tool into the foam to create screws. Apply a little heat gun action and boom, you got yourself a nice, smooth, crispy belt buckle. Alright, let's move on to the pocket knife. Once I figured out how long I wanted the knife to be, I took 2 pieces of the 1/2 inch EVA foam and glued it together. That was for the handle. Then I took a single piece of the same foam and beveled it for the blade. Then I drew a handle pattern on one side of the foam and used my scroll saw to cut out the shape. I wanted to use the texture side of the foam as a pattern for the grip, so I made sure to leave some behind when I was sanding and shaping the handle. I used the X-Acto knife and carved a line around the area I wanted to remain textured, and used a grinding bit to create screws. I then used a heat gun to open up those lines, which will help clearly define the grip area. Once I was happy with that, I glued the blade to the handle with some crazy glue. I really liked how this looked and it was quick and easy to make. Next, I used a knife and drew out the back and the front of the pocket onto 1/4 inch foam. Once they were cut out, I used contact cement and glued it all together. I cut small lines into the foam to act as stitching and used a heat gun to open them up so that they were more visible. The heat gun gives the foam a smooth, kinda shiny surface, so I decided not to paint it because it looks good as it is. Alright, it's about time we start adding the Velcro. Get rid of any texture from around the area you want the Velcro to go. Now mark the area and score the inside with the X-Acto knife. Open up those lines with a heat gun and apply hot glue. I like to add a few drops of crazy glue just to be sure, but this is optional. Apply the Velcro and add more hot glue around the edges. You can use this method anytime you want to add Velcro to your props or cosplay projects. The only thing left now is the paint. I masked off all the Velcro and any parts I wanted to glue on afterwards. I only like to use black Plastidip for my belts because with only 3 or 4 coats, you get a finish that looks very similar to leather. The handle of the pocket knife is the only part I painted with black spray paint. Black spray paint looks more like plastic when it's dried, so that's perfect. A silver Sharpie can work wonders when you're trying to color in small areas like screws, and you can definitely add highlights with this guy. Alright y'all, that's it, that's all. I really hope this tutorial gave you some useful information that was helpful to propel your cosplay/prop project to the next step. In the next video, I'll be talking about how I made these goggles, and we'll be going over things like Warbler and foam clay. So stay tuned for that. You're going to want to make sure that you're subscribed and hit that bell so you get notified when that video drops. So please like and subscribe. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I really appreciate if you like and subscribe. But until next time, keep crafting, have fun. Enough props.